As you grow your Amazon business, one of the best things you can do is hire a prep center to help you save time, sales tax, and grow your business a lot easier. Today, we have Max here who actually owns his own prep center, and we're going to give you a complete guide on how to use prep centers to grow your Amazon FBA business fast. Sweet, so we got the man Max here today. So yes, Max, sir. It's been cool to watch you grow the past year and a half or so, basically, because the cool thing is back in the day, we got to know as you were a student originally, right? Now, you're doing, way better here. You've got your own prep center. We're here in a 7,000 square foot facility. Yeah. And then there's another one down the hallway that you're using as well for the prep center too.
Yeah, that one's 12,000 square feet.
Exactly. So life can change quick with this stuff, man, and everything here. But do you just basically want to describe the prep center model and how that works and how it's good for sellers, just so we can take them from beginner to expert on actually knowing how prep centers work and everything they need to do to get started with the prep center and when it makes sense to?
Yeah, I mean, when you're starting to do volume, definitely not right off the bat, but as you scale up and do more units through a monthly basis, you want to offload some of that labor so that way you can focus on making sure that you're utilizing your capital in the right way and more so focus on the administrative tasks like sourcing and whatnot. But to get away from doing all that, you need somebody that has a warehouse that has the expertise in shipping and logistics to actually take your products, send them to Amazon, FBA, or FBM them on your behalf. So you're reducing your individual labor on a per unit cost basis.
Yeah, exactly, guys. So Prep Center is basically a third-party service that has their own warehouse, has their own systems, has everything set up that offloads you needing to do the prep work for you. So, for example, we're here in Pennsylvania. It's actually right near where I grew up and where Max's warehouse is. It's conveniently sales tax-free in a lot of categories. And so for your clients, you receive the inventory and then you go in and you actually list it on their Amazon account and then ship it off to Amazon on their behalf, and that lets them save. They don't need save all the time. They don't need to pay for the boxes, employees, warehouses, etc., or sales tax in this case for many products. So it's essentially a rare case of something that's a total win-win in that you're able to make money from it, obviously, and you have good systems with employees and everything. And the customer, the Amazon seller, potentially you guys watching this, you get to avoid doing all the work basically, and it's essentially becomes like a video game is the way I call
exactly.
The OA to prep model, basically, in that regards. So when do you think it personally makes sense for someone to go ahead and get a prep center? And for example, like in this case for your prep clients, like what are you looking for in terms of a good Amazon seller client?
I mean, I think everybody's situation is a little bit different. For me, I always thought, 1,000 units is where you really want to get a prep center. Because I think anybody, even with a 9-to-5, so on and so forth, could easily prep 250 units a week. Yeah. If you're breaking it up pretty evenly. And I think that's the requirement that we have for our clients is you're hitting a minimum unit quantity of 1,000 units a month. So I think that's really like the sweet spot of where you want to get a prep center. Because anything below that, your prep fees are going to be a little bit higher. Yeah. Because you're doing less volume, but you're also taking up the space of the prep center. So they're going to increase your price because your volume's lower. But yeah, I mean, it depends on everybody's situation, right? Some people have a super demanding 9-to-5 that, and a family to take care of. Thankfully, I don't have a family yet, so I don't have that problem. But yeah, I mean, it's really up to the seller's discretion.
Yeah, or they just have tons of money and don't feel like doing the work, and because they have a great startup capital for their Amazon business, they can get going, from the get-go, basically. So the way I see it is like, if you have a ton of money, you can totally go prep center from the get-go, especially if you're in a high sales tax state. Or, right, maybe you just have a lot of experience from another business and are going to get into, Amazon Quick, for example, because it's all case by case. Like, sure, some prep centers flat out don't work with beginners, period, but everything in life is negotiable. Obviously, right? So thinking from your guys' perspective, like researching prep centers and everything, like a lot of prep centers won't take beginners, but a lot of people will if they knew you had an awesome business they used to work on, for example, or something like that. In terms of the cost and the pricing of prep centers, for example, there's a lot of like different complicated ways people see. From my perspective, what I typically think beginners should expect is between like, $1.50 to $2 a unit standard from the get-go, right? Is that typically what you're seeing in terms of like the industry?
Yeah, I mean, there's prep centers that make it all just depends on the type of prep center you're going with, right? Like for us, we're taking higher tier clients, so our rates kind of tend to be a little bit lower than the $1.50 mark. But if you're getting started, 500 units, 700 units a month, you should definitely look between that $1.50 to maybe even $2.50 on some larger items. Yeah. $2.50 to $3. That area is generally where you're going to see people paying the prep fees.
Yeah, and then another big thing too, when you're looking for a prep center specifically for online arbitrage, if you're looking to really build that like location independent type of business and everything, is you want to look for one in a sales tax free state. So basically like Delaware, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania for lots of procs, New Jersey for some types of procs, Oregon, Montana. And basically the breakdown on that is, say you live in California, for example, and you live in an area in Cali where it's like 10% sales tax. If you buy a $50 product, you're going to actually pay $55 with the sales tax. However, if you send it to a prep center sales tax free state, you might only pay $52, for example, or $51.75, and that's where the arbitrage gets crazy. And you didn't do the work, and you didn't pay for the boxes. Like we see a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of them in the facility here too, as well, right? And so it's a really cool arbitrage. Yeah. Basically right there, and the way that breaks down. Now, for people who are looking to get a prep center set up, obviously people watching this video, what should they actually be looking for? Because there's a lot of like bad things that could potentially go wrong with the wrong prep center.
I mean, I think that one of the main things that you can look towards is if you're always preaching networking and networking with other sellers, right? A lot of times if you get somebody that's more experienced, they've been to a bunch of different prep centers before, they can tell you the pros and cons of a specified prep center, and they can also tell you which one's going to be a pretty good fit for you, right? So I think it kind of goes back into the whole idea that you kind of preach, right? You want to be networking, you want to be talking to people, because the word of mouth is probably the most reliable feature that you're going to have when you're looking for a prep center. But I mean, you definitely want to be looking at unit minimums. You want to be looking at pricing, scale pricing, usually, and we have it too, where the more units you send, the less you're going to pay per unit in prep fees. Whether or not you're paying for boxes or not paying for boxes.
That's a huge one in terms of the complexity of
exactly.
pricing from my experience.
Are you paying, what's the different rates per different products? There's so many different things that you can look into. Turnaround times, square footage.
That's a huge one as well. How close they are to capacity as well. Yeah. And these are questions, you want to get these people on the phone, right, when you're looking for a prep center, because that way you actually get to know them. This is like a long-term partner, for example, is the way I think about it. And the same thing from your perspective as a prep center owner. You're looking for people who are super serious, who are going to hit those unit minimums, who have been doing it for a while, and everything in general. Right, though. So like the big things, is just really making sure that they are a legit business, that they've been around for a while, and there's all types of ways you can go ahead and find them out there. By far the best one, like Max mentioned, is going to be in the community, right? Yep. Knowing people in the space, So for example, you're on Twitter at BigCatFBA, for example, right?
BigCatFBA.
Yeah, like that's one of my favorite things to recommend for beginners, is just to find a bunch of people just in the Amazon space that are on social media. They're talking about the stuff. You're going to learn a bunch of free game, maybe make some friends, get in some Discords and different Zoom calls. It all costs no money. And that's a really good thing, for example. And it's been a great thing for us too. We're literally hanging out here in person, right?
You came home because of the hurricane.
Literally, right? And we're here hanging out, and we just met. One of our other buddies is here. We met on Twitter too, and everything, right? But the big things with prep centers is dialing in, understanding the pricing, right? When you should actually go ahead and get one. Right, as well too, how it actually works. Like the way it works is, so for example, you're doing OA, right? Actually, there's some people that do drop-offs for RA with prep centers too. It's a little bit more advanced. Same thing how some prep centers do merch filled. How do you figure that out? They do. You ask, right? You look at their website, for example, too, right? And then just overall getting a sense of like how it actually works, and that you, as a seller, you're at home ripping OA with the boys, right, on the late night on the Zoom call.
Or the early morning.
Or the early morning too. Yeah, obviously. And everything, right? And then you ship the inventory to the prep center's facility, and then they go ahead and prep it on like box them, for example, right? And then ship it off to Amazon on your behalf. And then you don't actually have to touch the product. So that's how you can go ahead and travel full time. That's how you see, people online. Obviously that this stuff is not at all Lamborghinis and jets or whatever you see on Instagram. It's the furthest thing from that. It's a lot of boxes like around here. But when you use a prep center, you can offload a lot of that work too. As well. So what else should people be looking for in respect to prep centers? Obviously, we've got down pricing, how it actually works, how to find one, how to build a good relationship. But what else? Like, what do you look for in a good prep center client?
I mean, communication is huge. Is absolutely huge. We're able to keep our leakage down and our mistakes down because
you need to look for that too. Like, do they have a plan for that? Do they have systems around that and everything?
Yeah, I mean, even just in general, as a client, communicating with your prep center, having a responsive prep center. So all my clients, or the clients of Big Cat Distributions, they all communicate with me and Steven directly. But we're on the phone all the time. We're making sure that their products are getting out. And that's one of the most important things in keeping leakage down and making sure their products are going out on time, to make sure that we're avoiding any mistakes. And if we are making a mistake, that we get the feedback on it, so that way we can fix those processes in the future and respond. So I think that probably after you look at the I guess you could say, physical attributes of a prep center.
Yeah.
The most important thing following is the communication that you're going to have with said prep center, because it needs to be on point.
Yep. And I've had a problem in the past where, not having good communications prep center wise was really big. But for example, just in general, Max is a great example. So you went 0 to 7 figures on Amazon in 1 year and then started a service-based business and are growing your Amazon store too and everything. And you no longer have a 9 to 5. You finished the MBA program as well. So super proud of you with everything you got going on. Where can people check out what you got going on with the prep center, just your personal brand on social media too?
Yeah, you can definitely follow both of these accounts at BigCatFBA on Instagram and Twitter, and then at BigCatDist on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Oh yeah, so y'all check that out, the link in the description too. And this was the complete guide on prep centers. If you have any questions, let us know down below, and I'll pop up a video right now you guys can watch somewhere else on the screen here too. Subscribe for more. Check out Max and his prep center. And that's that. Hope y'all have a great one.
Yes, sir. Peace.